Hey, Spilling the Sweet Tea fam. Today I'm making my version of Trader Joe's hash browns at home. I decided to make these hash browns at home because I was so sick and tired of going to Trader Joe's and they were always sold out. I love Trader Joe's, but I don't have one in my town. I have to drive about 25 minutes, so I always go on the weekends. So baby, by the time I get over there, y'all done sold out all the daggone hash browns. So let me show you how to make them. The first thing you want to do is peel some russet potatoes. You're going to need 4 russet potatoes. Oh, sidebar, do you guys love my Southern Mixed With shirt? I'll put the link in the description. Once you have your potatoes peeled, you want to add them to some boiling hot water and then let them parboil for about 6 to 7 minutes. Take them out and allow them to cool for a little bit. Once they've cooled for a bit, now you want to get you a bowl and then grate your potatoes. I have done a separate video about this new grater that I have that I absolutely love. When I tell you it's everything, it's everything. The mouth of this grater is bigger than the one that I used to have, and I love that this one doesn't move. The other one will always slip off my countertop. So I have my potatoes here, and now I'm going to grate them one by one. Now let me tell you what I should have done. I should have cut these potatoes in half. So the length of the potatoes would have been shorter once I shredded them. So if you're going to make these hash browns, cut your potatoes in half. Or if you're using a really large russet potato, cut it in thirds because you don't want your shreds to be as long as mine. And you'll see later in the video, once I start mixing them and trying to put them into patties, you'll see why you have to cut them in half or cut them in thirds. But back to this grater. When I tell you this grater is everything, I do not get excited about kitchen gadgets, but I'm ecstatic about this grater, and I will link it in the description below. Now, do y'all see how long these potato shreds are? And I still didn't realize it. I still did not realize it. I'm still hype about my grater. I did not realize that these shreds was too long. You will see the egg on my face later in this video. What I love about making my own food is I get to season it the way I like. I don't know what Trader Joe's puts in theirs, but all I did was put some salt in mine and then added some white pepper. If you don't have white pepper, you can just use black pepper. I just use white pepper so you didn't see the flakes of the black pepper in my potatoes. And I like the flavor of white pepper a little bit better. And I also used some garlic powder. I'm a garlic girl, so I'm heavy on the garlic powder. I didn't use any onion powder, but you can certainly add onion powder if you want into your hash browns. It's totally up to you. Season it the way you like. The next thing you want to do is crack your eggs. This is another lesson learned. When I was making these hash browns, I had about 2 extra potatoes, and I was like, oh, let me grate these up too. Nah, you just need 4 potatoes because if you add too many potatoes, you're going to need more eggs and more flour. Y'all already know when you watch my videos, you're going to see me clean my eggs. This was the Shirley May way. My mama always would clean her eggs, get that little white part out, and then she would use her eggs in her recipe. Now look at this critical mistake I have made. You see all these potatoes in this bowl? I will put the correct ratios in the description below, but I had to add more flour because I had way too many potatoes in my bowl. The correct ratio is 4 russet potatoes, a 1/3 cup of flour, and 2 eggs. Now see, this is where I'm realizing I have messed up. These potato shreds are too long, so when I'm trying to form the patty, they're not coming out right. But you know this Southern girl is not going to give up. I took a knife to those potatoes and tried to cut them as much as I possibly could because I am knee deep in filming this recipe for y'all, and it's going to come out the way I intended it to come out. So don't be like me. Before you parboil your potatoes, cut them in thirds or cut them in half, depending on the size of the potatoes, because you will be struggling like me. Look at me. I am embarrassed of myself as a food content creator of cutting these potatoes last minute. But I have never made hash browns like this before, y'all, so I'm learning as I go. My mother never made hash browns like this. She made cheesy potatoes, and I've showed you guys how to make those before, but she never fried hash browns like this. Because baby, she didn't have to meal prep. My daddy got up and made us breakfast every morning before we went to school. We didn't have no meal prepping. She would meal prep in the way of canning and freezing food in the summer, but she didn't meal prep food like this to get me out the door early in the morning before school. It just didn't happen. My father always made breakfast for us before we went to school. So all I did was form my potatoes into patties like this. They're not perfect, but they still look good. When you buy processed food, it's going to come out looking perfect because of the way the machines are set up. But when you cook at home, it's not going to look perfect. But that's okay because my mama always used to say, when you cook at home, you know what you're eating. You want to freeze your hash browns for about an hour. Once they've frozen for an hour, you can add them to some hot oil. Your oil should be about 350 degrees. You can deep fry them if you want, but I found it very easy just to pan fry them just like this with a little bit of oil. Now, if your hash browns have a hump in the middle like mine did, just press them down in that oil once you flip them over. That's another hack because once I did that, baby, look at these hash browns. You can't tell me they don't look like they came from Trader Joe's. While I was frying these smelled so good. If you didn't have to freeze these hash browns, they would take no time to make, but it's important that you freeze them so they can hold their shape. Once they're brown on both sides, you just want to add them to a wire rack to drain and to cool. I always add my fried food to a wire rack so they don't get soggy on the bottom. If you put them on a paper towel lined plate, they're going to get soggy on the bottom. You want your hash browns to remain nice and crispy. As I stated earlier in the video, I am going to be meal prepping them, so I'm going to freeze these hash browns. So I'm going to allow them to completely cool. And while they're cooling off, I'm going to taste one just to make sure it's spilling the sweet tea approved. And is. Did y'all hear that crunch? When I tell you these hash browns were so good. I love the garlic powder in them. Look how thick they were. And they were nice and hearty, definitely a little bit bigger than you would get from Trader Joe's. And you made them, so you know exactly what's in them. Now, baby, the last thing to do is just prep them for the freezer. I'm going to wrap them in some saran wrap first and then wrap them in parchment paper. So just get you a piece of saran wrap. Mine is a little bit too big, but it's all right. Add your hash brown and then wrap it up, and then get you your parchment paper and wrap it up after you've wrapped it in your saran wrap. As a busy working mom, I am definitely going to continue to try to meal prep things for Maya to just eat before she goes to school. Things that I have made, but I can quickly air fry or microwave so she can get out the door faster, but has a healthy breakfast before she goes into the classroom. Your girl's got a lot of balls in the air. I work a full-time job. I'm a food content creator, and I'm also trying to grow my food brand. So planning for me is essential, which is why we have hash browns at home.